The NFL Combine is in full swing from Indianapolis, and on this edition of Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports, we will break down the list of players that your Seattle Seahawks have met with so far there in Indy. We'll go over them. We'll break down several of these players, give you scouting reports, everything you need to know in just a matter of moments. Hey, everybody, Tyler Jones here. Thanks for stopping by and joining us on today's program, our second video of the day here on the channel. If you want the Seahawks to find top talent in this year's draft, like the video. Don't jinx it. Don't be the reason why John Schneider and Mike McDonald and company don't have a great draft because you didn't do your part and like the video. So don't jinx it. Don't chance it. Just like the video, do your part, and don't make me come find you. We'll get started with today's show. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Let's go through those, and then we'll go through the others. Jayden Daniels, the quarterback out of LSU, he was the first that we knew of to get a meeting with the Seattle Seahawks. The former LSU and Arizona State quarterback won the Heisman Memorial Trophy this year, and Mel Kiper has him listed as the number 2 quarterback in this year's draft, the number 3 player overall. We've seen some mock drafts that have him going as high as 2, and then others that are saying, hey, there's a chance he might fall out of the top 10. So does that mean that Seattle is doing their homework in case he does slip, or do they potentially have their eyes on trading up for the LSU QB? That remains to be seen. What we do know is that Jayden Daniels is an outstanding talent. This past season had 40 touchdowns and over 1,100 rushing yards with 10 rushing touchdowns there with the LSU Tigers, and was terrific when it came to completion percentage as well. Completed over 72% of his passes this year. He is him, as the kids say. Another top quarterback that's being compared directly to Jayden Daniels is Drake Maye out of the University of North Carolina. Maye was there from 2021 to 2022 and was the ACC's Player of the Year. And Mel has him as the number 3 quarterback and the number 5 overall player, but it really depends on who you ask of what quarterback you like better between Drake Maye and Jayden Daniels, as you're going to hear either or. Drake Maye's been drawing a lot of comparisons to LA Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert as the second coming of sorts. This year was a down year from his season last year, but he still had a very good year this year with 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3,600 yards. He looks like the quarterback, that you think of a franchise quarterback, but he necessarily didn't make the big plays this year. He didn't, not like what we saw last year anyway. But we want to ask you guys, who's the player you think the Seahawks should draft, whether it's one of these 2 quarterbacks or if it's somebody else out there? Drop a name in the comment section that comes to mind of somebody you like from the Combine this week and let us know. We are talking about your Seattle Seahawks each and every day on Seahawks Today. I am about to take a little getaway trip to Las Vegas for a few days. But you better believe, if something happens, something goes on, I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing. I don't care if I'm on the strip with some strippers. Just kidding. I will make a video here on the channel and break it all down for you here in real time. So, join the family. Subscribe now for free. If that doesn't convince you to subscribe to the channel, I don't know what else will, folks. We are built different here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for the latest happenings on your favorite team as we lead up to the draft. No one is covering this team like we are here on Seahawks Today. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV to subscribe now. J.J. McCarthy, talked about him earlier today here on the channel. Seahawks met with him, the former Michigan quarterback, and man, you look at J.J. McCarthy, this is somebody that has been nothing but a winner, right? Gets a national title, won all the big games with the Michigan Wolverines. Mel's got him as his number 4 quarterback, number 23 player overall. But it's the great unknown with J.J. because he was not asked to do too much in that Michigan offense. So how good is he really? He didn't have to be spectacular with how good that run game was and how well they dominated the line of scrimmage. But if he's asked to be a franchise quarterback, can he step up to the plate? That remains to be seen. Another quarterback on the list, rounding out the QBs of QB visits with John Schneider and company, is Michael Pratt out of Tulane. And I got to tell you, Michael Pratt's a sneaky good prospect here, folks. This is somebody that is going to be around later, a day 2 or 3 guy that I have my eyes on. An incredible runner, but don't let that fool you. He's still a very good passer as well. He was the American Athletic Conference's Offensive Player of the Year and won some big games. If you recall, he outperformed Caleb Williams in the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago, and they upset the USC Trojans there in Dallas this past season. Threw for 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, over 2,400 yards, 65% completion percentage. Michael Pratt, not a bad option. He's a bit of a project, but could be one that makes sense for the Seahawks to take on potentially. Of these 4 QBs, who do you like most? If it's Jayden Daniels, type JD. If it's J.J. McCarthy, type JM. If it's Drake Maye, slide into his DMs and type DM. If it's Michael Pratt, type MP for Michael Pratt. Let us know in the comment section below. Now the other names. Some of these you already know. We've talked about earlier this week here on the channel, which include Dallas Turner, the outside linebacker from the University of Alabama, the best outside linebacker in this year's draft. We've seen some projections have him slipping to 16 to the Seahawks there, so if they want him, might not have to even move for him potentially, but would be a terrific playmaker to say the least. A name that Seahawks fans are very familiar with, Bralen Trice, the defensive end from the University of Washington. He's projected to be a late first, early second type guy. Maybe there's a world where the Seahawks, if they trade down, Trice is still there, or maybe if they trade back into the second round potentially, they could give Trice a look if he's still there as well. Another defensive end, Marshawn Kneeland out of Western Michigan, makes the list as well. And this is another guy the Seahawks met with very early on in the process. Braden Fisk, the defensive tackle from Florida State. It's no secret the Seahawks are looking for all the help they can get when it comes to the interior of the defensive line. You can expect Seattle to draft that position early. One problem, though, there isn't a ton of options. Not a great year for defensive tackles in this year's draft. The top defensive tackle, according to some, is Jer'Zhan Newton, a.k.a. Johnny Newton, Johnny Be Good, out of Illinois with this spot. And Johnny Newton, I got to tell you, this guy's a freak of nature. He is hard to move. He'll be one to watch. And the guy that will be competing with him to see who's the first defensive tackle off the board first is Byron Murphy out of the University of Texas. The eyes of Texas certainly upon him. The thing I like about Byron Murphy, he takes on double teams well. He's very hard to move. And then there's Chris Jenkins, another good defensive line option. And he played under Mike McDonald with the University of Michigan Wolverines several years ago. Won a national championship this year, a very good football player. And the stats don't tell the whole story of how good of a player he actually is. A couple more for you here of some DBs. Josh Newton from TCU got a look. And then another Michigan Wolverine again, as Mike Sainristil also got a look. He's played some corner, he's played some safety, and was another one that played under Mike McDonald as well. And what's interesting, too, about these Michigan guys getting looks is Mike McDonald and the coaching staff is not there. It's the front office. It's the scouting department with John Schneider. So it very well could be Mike McDonald said, hey, these are some of the guys I like. Go look for yourself. Have meetings and see what you think of these guys like Mike there. Another defensive player, Trevin Wallace from the University of Kentucky, also got an interview with John Schneider as well. 3 final names before we wrap up here, but what do you guys think is the biggest need for the Seattle Seahawks in the 2024 draft? Obviously, there's a lot of glaring weaknesses this team needs to address. Weigh in, tell us what you think in the comments section. Another Michigan Wolverine, Junior Colson, the linebacker, also on this list as well. An incredible leader, Junior Colson is. And just based on the sheer number of Michigan looks, I feel pretty safe predicting that the Seahawks are going to draft some guys from Michigan at this point here, folks. Jaheim Bell, tight end from Florida State. Oh, wow, what an outstanding football player. Very good pass catcher. And then the last player on our list is Jaquan Jackson, a wide receiver from Tulane. He, along with Michael Pratt, had a really nice 1-2 combination there with the Green Wave in New Orleans. So maybe they could potentially come together to Seattle. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of Seahawks Today. Subscribe now to the channel for free, and I will see you next time.